love is a mystery that's revealed through misunderstandings. Any person that's in love right now, and any person that's been in love, especially relationships, you will always know how you love a person by the power that you create to go through that transition or change in you what you swore you would never change. Because it's that part that says, I ain't never changed this for nobody. And just like the area of the divorce and the prenup, I knew if I brought a prenup to her, she was going to look, boy, you are crazy, get out of my face, you know what I've been through, so forth and so on. But the whole point is that never became an option. Sure. Because God left a place in my life that was never healed, that she spoke to, that I was confirmed. I think some people miss this, that they always say two whole people need to meet each other to be married. And I believe that the wholeness is like 80-85%, but maybe 15 to 20% of your life is not healed.
Because I don't really even believe there's ever, people can say that, but is there really ever, you've had some damage, even take out relationships. There has been some damage to you, whether it be your job, whether it be family, somewhere in your life. Whether you lost a lot financially, your car was repossessed, and you just never, and you had to go through a shameful walk, whatever. It's somewhere, something in your life where it's caused you not to be whole. And all of us, that's the reason why we need God.
Absolutely.
Because if we were already totally whole, that's when he told the lady.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when he told the lady with the issue, now you've been made what?
Whole. Right.
Now, because you've had an encounter, so all of us need it. And what happens is sometimes God will send a person, because if we believe that God uses people to speak to us, then why can't God send someone to us and bring healing to us?
Sure, that's right. Sure. And the healing she brought was priceless in my life, and certainly
in mine as well.
It's one of those things that seals where it's at. And as you were saying, three generations, understanding legacy. I didn't want to have somebody that just wanted to do ministry. In fact, I wasn't even looking for somebody to do ministry. And it was so much the opposite. She didn't. Who are you, Bishop Weeks? You talk about submission and all that.
I was like, Bishop Weeks. Okay, Bishop Weeks. And and what's amazing is he is so not like what you think. He's very, he's BTW3, but we have the most fun. And he's really an awesome guy, and we really just have so much fun together, and really experiencing him beyond turning on the TV and then really getting to know him. Because when I first came to minister at the church, I was like, he's nice looking, but I don't know. We had all these conversations. I'm like, I was still, but really once we had, and I really want to say this was priceless to me. In our conversations, we hadn't physically met yet, and we were coming up to the time. He sent me he sent something, and he did something that was powerful to me. First, he sent me a text message after us first, inviting me to come speak, and he said, if you ever, this is ministry, so, we're in ministry, so this goes on all the time. So calls come through. We're at the office working here. Okay, but during all these times, he did something that was really profound. He sent me a text message after we had maybe had a couple of conversations. And he said, if you ever need an ear, if you ever need someone to speak to, he said, I know with God, blessing your ministry, it's very few people that you can really have an ear to talk to and listen to. I'm here if you ever need that ear. And I really thought, he said, people being jealous and different things. He said, that really meant a lot to me, and I said, wow, okay, that's true, because, you really, in a place when your ministry starts elevating, you have to really be careful who you trust, who you deal with. And that meant a lot, especially someone that had been through something. But I was still like, okay, that was nice. Okay. But what really sealed the deal for me was when we were having a phone conversation, and I was on a 15-day revival, and I couldn't do nothing. I was just stuck between church and hotel room, sometimes doing 2 services. And I told him, I said...
2 services a day?
Yeah. Wow. And I told him, I said, I love movies. I said, I just want to go to the movies. I said, I really just, no, he didn't, not with him. He didn't, I just said, see, this is the thing. I really want to see Medea Goes to Jail. I really want to see this. and I just can't find the time to go see it. And so then the next day we talked, I said, I really can't find my earpiece to my iPhone. It's lost. Where is this? And when I arrived, before coming to minister, he has 2 movie tickets that were ready for Medea Goes to Jail, and my iPhone earpiece.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, he heard you. And that may be like nothing to nobody, but that meant so much that he took the time to listen and what he wanted to make happen for me. And that's what I value about him, because what he's done, anything he can try to, if he hears me, he says, okay, now what can I do to make this happen for you? And that's what I appreciate about him. He's the bomb.
and I concur. You know, the sensitivities have been there. You know, there was recently she took off a Monday, and we've been having church. You know, when we came in here, we were rocking some church, and so our neighbors are very special. And so very special. They're not used to all this church and sound.
Absolutely.
So the police had come by and cited us for not being over the decibel level, but possibly a nuisance. So we were fined about $260. So I had to go to court and stand before the judge and talk about our church and sound and just basically say we weren't over this, well, we were just a nuisance. So long story short, but in the time we were cited and had to go to court, we invested in getting our sound system raised and do some other tweaking, and now it's fixed and the neighbors don't complain. But I had to go to court on Monday, so she made sure that she was in town and said, if you have to go to court, I'm going to court with you.
Wow, so you mean to tell me she rearranged her schedule?
She rearranged her schedule.
To make sure that she was here.
She said, it's about togetherness. You're together with me, I'm together with you. And the one thing is, you never had a wife that wanted to be together. That was one of the things when we were talking about the conversation for 6 hours. And we wanted to make sure that both of us understood what we couldn't tolerate and what we must have. And one of those things was be there for me, and I was so shocked. She had just gotten preaching revivals and doing all this, and so she came in. We went to the courthouse. While we were there, I sat there just to pay a fine, and we had to wait 4.5 hours just for the judge to call us up and say, okay, was this a nuisance? No, sir, it really wasn't. So, all right, just pay the fine. And she sat there next to me and said, you know what? I will be there with you through thick and thin, through the best days, the worst days. And most people think, oh, she's just coming to sit in the chair and to look cute and to be. She is fine. I can't take that away from her. But some people have that perspective. But outside of the church walls, what about the real relationship? Do you all eat hot dogs together? Yes, we do. Do we share popcorn? Yes, we do. Do we do all those things?
Twizzlers.
Yes, we do. And Twizzlers. and something, she's phenomenal with games. Like, we were waiting for one movie, and I got some coins.
Oh, yeah.
And her dad told me when we went out to eat, her dad said, now listen, she's a competitor. And she's just going to, she's just going to win now. I said, yeah. Blah, blah, blah. So I'm pretty good with just driving, right? So I'm getting there, it's 2 car seats together, and we drop the coins in while we're waiting for a movie, and I take off. I think I know what I'm doing,
Think you got it, huh?
She's smooth. She's like, all right, let's go, take it. She's paying, and this woman just came by. I said, honey. I said,
here I go.
And she flew over beyond me the rest of that. I said, oh no, she didn't. I shipped that gear down, chasing her around, and she beat me 4 times in a row. I was like, Lord. And that's the kind of fun that we have. We find these things and these moments, and it is about hearing. It's about sensitivity. It's about enjoyment. Now, again, sometimes we go through little cycles like we got done eating, and I had not been on a merry-go-round and all that kind of stuff.
Oh yeah.
In a few days. And she just likes to have a lot of fun. So we went there. We had a lot of fun that day out there. I mean, the adventure, doing the things I've never had someone to do with. The little things as just sitting in a restaurant, having tea, talking about life, enjoying planning, traveling. Just recently I had a business venture that came up where the company called me out and said, tell us about some ideas and concepts, the rest of that. And she took off time to say, I'm going to be there. And when she walked through and heard the rest of that, we took a moment away, and she said, this is what I think. This is what I think is going to be good, so forth and so on. And she's great eyes for me. The one thing I can say, she's a great protector. Nothing's going to happen to me. In the spirit of discernment in her eyes or whatever, she brings truth to me. And sometimes it's the truth that I don't want to hear. It's not over bad or something that's terrible, but it's the thing that, I wasn't suspecting. And men have to have the ability to humble themselves and listen to the greater.
It's good teaching, Bishop.
We have to humble ourselves and know that it's in a woman to protect because she's already in you.